And one of the most important topics in Ukrainian media space today was Volodymyr Zelensky press conference. Of course, it lasted for 1.5 hours, and the president of Ukraine answered many questions of both Ukrainian and foreign journalists. But I won't tell you what the most important thing Zelensky said, because I have someone to do that for me. Igor Popov, expert at the United Ukraine think tank. Greetings, Pani Popov. So I think we have a sort of a technical problem. Do you hear me or not really?
Yes, I hear you very clear.
Okay, you hear me. Right, so the first question. If you would had a chance, what would you ask President Zelensky yourself?
I think I would ask the same question as was asked about peace and about peace plan.
Right.
For me, this is maybe one of the key messages that Mr. President announced the detailed peace plan will be ready next month in September, and Ukraine will share this plan with our Western allies, first of all with our American colleagues. And then this plan will be submitted and discussed on the second peace summit. So maybe this question, which is important not only for me, but for majority of Ukrainian citizens, as well as from international society.
I agree with you. I would ask the same question, but mainly foreign policy still was discussed at the press conference, and almost none of domestic issues, and there are a lot of them, as we know. Why you think is that?
Maybe it reflects public opinion polls, and when I read such polls, I see that questions about security, about future of war, are dominant now in Ukrainian society. We understand that if we will get a stable and a fair peace, in this case, we could develop our political institutions, we could develop our economies, but without stable peace, we cannot do anything in any other spheres. That's why it's the first question from Ukrainians, and that's why maybe it was the main topic in today's press conference.
Absolutely fair enough, fair enough. But which topic Zelensky himself should have focused on more, you think? Which journalist could have missed, probably?
I don't think they missed something. Concerning the international security, for sure, there were questions about Kursk operations.
Right.
Because first days, Ukrainian political leadership didn't comment it, and it's maybe naturally because it was military operation, and usually military command keeps such operations in secret about further details and plans. But today, President Zelensky very clearly told that we don't need additional territories. We don't need to occupy part of Russia. The main goal for Kursk operation was to avoid a Russian offensive from this territory. And by conducting Kursk operation, Ukraine kept peace in our Sumy and Chernihiv Oblast. That's why it was only one option for us to stop Russian offensive, to organize such operation.
If you ask me, if anyone would ask me a question, I would say that Kursk is a means of peace to force Putin to just and long-lasting peace for Ukraine. Am I right? Do you consider it effective mean?
Yes, by conducting operation in Kursk,
Right.
Ukraine just remind, first of all, to Kremlin, but also to the whole world, that Ukraine is interested in peace, but in stable and fair peace. So that's why President again repeated his sentence that he repeated before in several interviews, that Ukraine will never recognize any occupation of our territory, any annexation of our territory. For sure, we understand that now it's difficult to get back all our territories occupied by Russians. But when Russia asked to legally recognize these facts of illegal referendums, no Ukraine, neither any other countries will agree with this. Nobody will agree with such rude violation of United Nations principles and UN statute. So this territories could be called as occupied, but not annexed.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Russia probably violated all the international laws that are there, just all of them. So Russians, but there's one question that interests me personally. I've never seen Russians on Russian land fighting back Ukrainian army, actually. Nor civilians, not really military. Why?
For sure, Russian army organized some defense operations
Some,
in course, but it was surprise for them, to be
Right.
honest, and they were not ready. Concerning civil population, that
Yes.
it's a very interesting difference comparing with behavior of Ukrainians 2 years ago. Ukraine civilians participated in defending our land, but Russian civilians just complain, where is our army? And this may be a very important difference between our societies. Ukrainian society is democratic and horizontal. And in many issues like democracy or relation with government, we are flat. But Russian society is very subordinate. And Russian society is totalitarian, and that's why they're not active. They're sure that somebody from Moscow, from Kremlin, should protect them, should organize everything, and should be responsible for everything. And Ukrainians understand that all of us are responsible for our future. So Operation Kursk again showed this difference.
Just maybe Zelensky said we successfully tested our own Ukrainian ballistic missile recently, meaning that means 450, roughly 500 kilometers, reach of Moscow. Could that be a means of peace enforcement? Because, we're talking about like Kursk is a means of peace enforcement, like law enforcement, but just peace enforcement for the Kremlin. So maybe this is also the means of peace enforcement. New ballistic missile from Ukraine.
Yes, definitely. And not only peace enforcement, but also is our security guarantees.
Sure.
Because when we are talking about any peace talks and peace agreements, who will guarantee this? We have, unfortunately, negative experience with Budapest Memorandum, because countries who signed it didn't guarantee our territorial integrity. That's why in every negotiations, in every peace summits, we are discussing peace guarantees. And strong Ukrainian army with modern weapons is our best guarantee. That's why President Zelensky asked our Western allies to give us opportunity to target Russian military bases in Russian territory with Western weapons. But at the same time, we develop our own defense industry, and this announcement is only one of the news that Ukraine develop our own weapon, which could reach any objects far away in Russian territory. But we don't need it to do it immediately. It will be our peace enforcement, and it will be our security guarantees for the future.
Agree also. I mean, the ballistic missile could be the best argument in terms of forcing the Kremlin to peace. So thank you so very much for this interview and for your time. I hope we talk to you soon.